Hi, I'm Gabrielle, and this is Seminar Takeover. Today's May 7th, and here's this week's news.
Critical race theory in public schools, a new front in the culture wars that is likely to expand far more broadly in the coming years. Idaho Governor Brad Little earlier this year became the first to sign legislation to withhold funding from schools that compels students to adopt viewpoints that are, quote, often found in critical race theory. The Texas State Senate has passed similar legislation. The Tennessee State House advanced their own version through an education committee this week, and legislators in Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Arizona are working on bills that would impact the curriculum in public schools in their own backyards.
A recent race forum in the Rockwood School District sparked a hot debate. How should or shouldn't we talk about race in schools? The term critical race theory has gotten a lot of attention recently.
Some Missouri lawmakers have even taken steps to ban it. New tonight, our Abby Larico looked at how it could impact your child's education.
What is critical race theory? Parents at this forum on race and curriculum in the Rockwood School District are not the only ones fired up about it.
I did not use the word racist.
Scholars of critical race theory define it as recognizing race as a social construct, but one that's been deeply embedded in American institutions throughout history. They say you can see implications of that today.
White privilege is real. It is so real.
Like in the criminal justice system or even demographics of communities. Advocates say CRT urges people to grapple with systemic racism, to work toward understanding and fairness.
What are the biases that could exist in the system so that we can actually create that platform and create the equity that we all long for.
But opponents have said CRT perpetuates racism.
It's basically white shaming, and that's basically a racist viewpoint.
Saying it pushes the idea that white people are inherently racist and people of color inherently oppressed.
We can do a lot of good for the nation from here, but not if we're continually divided by race and or gender. Let's look at ourselves as equal. I think that's what Martin Luther King Jr. was looking for.
Some Missouri lawmakers are pushing to ban CRT in schools. They say it can make children feel bad.
To me, this is child abuse.
Past several years, there have been many attempts to fundamentally change our traditions and our rich history.
A history that has been largely written by white people.
All we want is just a little acknowledgement.
America can be a great country and while also being a flawed country, and that it is okay to address those flaws, to bring attention to it, and in some cases rewrite a more accurate version of history.
Defining race-related terms like CRT is one thing, having the difficult conversations is another. I'm Abby Larico, 5 on your side.
CRT is also discussed along with the 1619 Project, which is an account of U.S. history centered on the implications of slavery. There are Republican-led efforts both at the federal and state level to keep that out of the school curriculum, too.
Another desperate attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election. More than 2 million ballots in Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix, are being recounted by hand. GOP state senators are conducting the audit based on the same lies causing election law changes in Texas and Florida. Journalists are not allowed to independently observe the count. One of the people handling the ballots is a former state lawmaker who attacked the U.S. Capitol during the January 6th insurrection. Former President Trump falsely believes the recount will justify his claims about the election. That is, of course, unlikely to happen. Multiple audits have already upheld President Biden's victory in Arizona. But there are concerns about the precedent this audit could set.
Birth rates in the U.S. dropped to the lowest total in 35 years in 2019. According to the Wall Street Journal, about 3.75 million babies were born last year. That's down 1% from 2018. Looking at the fertility rate as a whole, it fell 2% to 58.2 births per 1,000 women between the ages of 15 to 44. The report from the National Center for Health Statistics at the CDC said that is the lowest level recorded since the government started tracking it back in 1909. The data, according to Fox News, revealed millennials have been hesitant about forming families in part because they are less financially sound than people before them. An assistant professor of sociology at the University of Rhode Island told the site, "There are a lot of people out there who would like to have 2 children, a larger family, and there's something going on out there that makes people feel like they can't do that."
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the EU is willing to discuss waiving intellectual property rights on COVID-19 vaccines. This comes after Washington threw its weight behind the World Health Organization's proposal. It would be a big breakthrough in the drive to boost the global supply of vaccines. India has again reported over 400,000 new COVID-19 cases and almost 4,000 deaths in a single day. That's again setting records for both. The country has been overwhelmed by shortages in life-saving supplies such as medical oxygen. The surge in infections has coincided with a huge drop in vaccinations because of supply and delivery problems. Hong Kong democracy activist Joshua Wong has been sentenced to another 10 months in jail for participating in an unauthorized protest. Wong is one of the most prominent faces of the pro-democracy movement. He's already serving time in prison for his role in other protests.
On CNBC. Italy, the jury in Rome sentencing these two Americans to life in prison for killing a police officer. Both found guilty of homicide, attempted extortion, assault, resisting public official, and carrying an attack-style knife without reason. Prosecutors say the men had stolen a drug dealer's backpack as revenge for being tricked about the drugs they were buying. The unarmed, plainclothes officer was responding to that theft when he was stabbed. The jury deliberated more than 12 hours before delivering the guilty verdicts. Both men contend they acted in self-defense. Myanmar, security forces arresting thousands of people, especially boys and young men, to stem uprising against the military takeover. That's according to an Associated Press analysis of more than 3,500 arrests since the coup happened back in February. In most cases, the families of those taken do not know where they are. Human rights activists say security forces have killed more than 700 people so far this year. India. COVID isolation centers opening across the country to deal with the massive surge in cases. Authorities converting everything from temples to train cars into COVID treatment facilities. Hospitals and morgues overflowing. Daily infections rose by more than 382,000 just today, and nearly 4,000 deaths reported in the last 24 hours. By contrast, there were 40,000 cases and 933 deaths in America. And that's our trip around the world on CNBC.
To get points for today, remember to complete the quiz. All answers can be found in this video. Once this video ends, stay logged on to participate in today's STL activity created by our wonderful counseling team. Have a great weekend. Remember to stay safe, have fun, and mask up.